All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, welcoming you back to the Rankin Technical College Summer Adventure Academy, and we're building a website. I did want to mention that if we look, you saw how this looks, but notice I've also changed the About page and the Contact page. So they've all started to change. Okay? Well, the next thing that I want to look at is my navigation, because that looks pretty bad the way it is. That's very amateurish looking. So I'm going to come in, and in my nav bar, I want to change my unordered list, and let's add some stuff. We want no margin, no padding, the list style, none. In fact, let's as we've been doing, let's just take each one of those. In fact, let's do them one at a time. So there's margin 0. Now there's no margin there. Next, there's padding 0. So that moved it way over here. Well, that looks pretty bad, so we'll have to fix that. Next, we want to say list style none. And that should remove those bullets. That's what they're referred to as, these bullets right here when we refresh. Now they're gone. All right. Now let's put in some padding. I really don't need that padding 0 anymore. All right, but that put 0 all the way around it. Now I'm going to put in 10 pixels of padding all the way around it. And that padding here, since this one comes after it, it'll overwrite those. So notice now it did move it back. All right. Again, we're getting there. Our background color, let's make it white. So you know I can't either put white there, but I'll just put in pound FFF. In fact, I put in 6 Fs, but if these repeat like this, I only need 3 of them. If this worked, all of these bullets will now be white. And, well, this is my area. You can see that it is white. All right. Finally, we're going to say if there's any what's called overflow, just make it automatic. So if this was way too big, that could become an issue. It won't because ours isn't big. So now we want to change our list items. Okay. This is going to start looking in just a moment a lot more like an actual menu. Float left. What did that do? Well, that's looking better. But now we need some padding here. So padding, we need no top padding, 25 pixels of right padding, no bottom padding, and 25 pixels of left padding. Well, that didn't do anything, so why not? Because I didn't put that in there. All right, well, that's looking a lot nicer. Finally, let's go back and change our color on this. And we're going to use that color that we had over here. And you notice not a thing changed. And maybe that's the way it was supposed to be, but we'll fix it. We're getting there. Now we want our hyperlinks, so that just says A. So these are going to be all of the hyperlinks that we put in there. What do we want to have? What do we want to do that's special for those hyperlinks? Well, whoa, sorry. We want this, and I think that's where I wanted it. I don't even think that one's doing anything. So we want that color, and we want to turn off the underline. So we're going to say text decoration, none. And like I said, I believe we can get rid of this. I don't think this is doing anything. Refresh. Okay, there we go. And notice again, it is on all of them. The whole thing is looking a lot nicer. In fact, our About page is pretty much done. Okay, all right. Now, when we take our mouse and put it over it, it would be kind of nice if this changed color to see which one was being active. And I do that by saying, I use what are called the pseudocode classes. So this says when I hover over it, then I want the color, let's just use the word red. Okay, that's a built-in color. So again, let's come back, refresh, doesn't look any different. Notice when I put my mouse over them now, they turn red. Okay? How about our sample image? This is the image that we put in. This is just on our home page. And that image, I didn't give it a class. And I want it to have a class. So I'm going to say here, class equals sample dash image. All right, so now I can show you a class in here. Dot for class. Notice that's just the color coding of the editor. And I want it to float left. I want it to have a width of 259 pixels. I want it to have a height of 194 pixels. And I want it to have a margin of 0, 15 pixels, 10 pixels, and 0. All right. Now, before I show you this, I want to go back. And now that I put the width and the height in here, I can come back here and I can remove the width and the height. I should, if I can, I should put them into CSS rather than putting them actually into my HTML. Okay, does this look any different? Well, it changed the text. Okay, it wrapped its way around there. All right. So we're almost done. The only thing we have to change is our footer. The About page is just about done, but the footer, but the contact page still looks really ugly. So let's go and change the contact page stuff next. Okay? So the first thing I want to change is all my labels. I want them to do what's called display inline block. I don't know if that's going to show any difference in here or not, but we'll find out. Okay? That's more as a protective measure. Then I want to say width, this will show a big change, 100 pixels. Okay. Now, see how it's looking a little bit nicer? And I've got email address there, so I actually want it to be more than 100 pixels. Let's try making it 150 pixels. Now let's look at it. There we go. Now we can have email and address in there. I like that a little better. Okay. Text align right. Push that over. Okay. Well, now these are really pretty close to one another, so let's put in some padding. We'll put that in the right side. We'll make that 5 pixels, and we'll also put in some padding on the bottom, and that's on the bottom of each one of those, and we'll make that 10 pixels. All right, so I did 2 things, but notice, oh, looking a lot nicer. All right, how about my submit button? It'd be kind of nice to push that over. And I could just say submit, but really what I should have done is I should have taken my submit button, which is here, and I gave it an ID of submit. Good deal. So I can say # submit, which means anything with an ID of submit, which is what I want. And let's give it a margin left. And we'll start with 100, let's start with 200 pixels. All right? And let's see what that does. See how I pushed it over? Looks like I needed it to be a little bit further. Let's try 250. That's too much, so let's cut it down in half. Make it 225. That looks pretty good. Finally, the last thing that we have to do in here is I'm just about finished, is our footer. And we want the background color of that to be that same color we were using before, right here. And you'll notice that once we do that, and see the color here? There we go. Okay, we'll fix the rest of it in just a minute. The color we want to be white, so that's our text color. So now that text color should come back in here again, and you see that it does. Oops. Let's put some padding all the way around it. 15 pixels, 10 pixels, 15 pixels, and 10 pixels. That's looking better. And then finally, let's align this text so it goes in the center. All right, so I believe we've now finished with our first site. There's our home page. There's our about page. And there's our contact page. Okay, the contact page still does as we put in there. So if we put in here, you know, boom. So what I have done over these 7 lectures is we first created our home page that had absolutely no styling to it. We copied that home page to the about page, took out the picture, changed it from welcome to about us, and added just text. Then we also copied that home page to our contact page, took out the word welcome, changed it to contact, put a form in here that had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different text fields, followed by a text area, and then a button. Then we came back and we styled. We started by styling our header area that was in here. Next, in fact, we started by styling our body area, which were our global things. Then we did our header area. Then we did our nav area, starting with the unordered list, the nav area, then the unordered list, then the list items. Then we came in here and we did our image. Then we did our text. We did our form. And we finished up with our footer. So that's it. We're going to come back in just a couple minutes and to show you the kind of thing that we're going to be building next. All right? We're going to build something that looks, it's going to be a little bit more intricate, and it's going to look like this. Notice it's reactive. And we can move to another page. We've got a very simple little slideshow in there. And we also can bring something up right in line like this. I'm going to use something that's called Bootstrap. And I will be back with that, the first lecture on that in just a bit.